Before you judge, just listen. Some stories don't happen because people plan them, but because life pushes two souls into the same storm. Tonight's confession comes from a man who never expected to cross the line, and a married woman who felt invisible inside her own home. This is the anonymous truth of what happened the night they broke every rule, even the ones they never spoke out loud. Grab your headphones, settle in, this one is intense. I've replayed that night 100 times in my head, trying to understand the exact moment everything slipped past the line we drew. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was the music. Or maybe it was the simple truth that some sparks refuse to stay contained, no matter how tightly you hold on to the rules. We were 4 friends, that was all it was supposed to be. 2 couples, meeting on weekends, sharing dinners, stories, and laughter. My girlfriend at the time thought it would spice up our social life. Her words, not mine. I just went along with it, thinking it was harmless. I never imagined how complicated things could get when people pretend they don't see what's right in front of them. Because from the first night I met her, something shifted under my skin. Let me be clear, nothing was planned. Nothing was arranged. We never talked about swapping partners. Hell, the topic itself felt like a boundary none of us would ever dare to cross. We had an unspoken understanding to keep things friendly, nothing else. But sometimes, the unspoken things scream the loudest. She had this quiet confidence about her, like she knew the weight of her own presence but never flaunted it. Her husband adored her, I could tell. And yet, whenever her eyes met mine across a table or a room, there was something else lingering there, not betrayal, not mischief, but recognition. A dangerous kind of recognition. Like she saw something in me she wasn't supposed to. I tried to ignore it. I convinced myself it was my imagination. But the night everything changed, she laughed at something I said, just a small, soft laugh, and touched my wrist without thinking. A simple gesture, barely a second long, but I felt it everywhere. The air became something else. Heavy, charged. For the first time, I realized we were standing on the edge of something neither of us should want, but both of us felt anyway. Later that night, after everyone left, she sent a message, short, harmless on the surface. Can we talk? I stared at it for 10 minutes, debating whether to reply. I knew her husband was probably asleep beside her. I knew answering would open a door that once opened, would never close again. But I answered, because I wanted to know why she asked. Because I wanted to hear whatever she wasn't saying out loud. And because part of me already knew, that message wasn't about talking at all. That was the beginning of the secret I'm still carrying today, the one she entrusted me with, the one I'm sharing anonymously, because she remains hidden behind her life, and her husband still has no idea. Her first message came at 12:14 a.m. Her second came 2 minutes later. I need to clear my head. Can we meet somewhere, just to talk? Talking, the oldest lie in the book. But I agreed. I shouldn't have. Every logical part of me screamed that this was the kind of decision that unraveled lives quietly and slowly. But desire doesn't care about logic. Curiosity doesn't, either, and there was something about her tone, something unsettled, something raw, that pulled me in. We met at a late-night cafe on the other side of town. Neutral ground, empty, quiet, safer than meeting in a private space. I arrived before her, palms sweating like I was a teenager again. When she walked in, wearing a simple hoodie and leggings, no makeup, hair tied back, looking nothing like the polished woman I saw at dinners, I realized this was the real her. The version she hid from the world. The version she didn't mind showing me. She sat across from me, wrapped her hands around a cup of tea, and stared into the steam rising from it. I can't talk to anyone else about this, she said. Not my husband, not my friends, not even him. She meant my girlfriend, so why me? I asked. She looked up, conflicted, hesitant, but honest. Because you see me, really see me. Those words hit harder than they should have. And she knew it. She told me things she'd hidden from everyone, how suffocating her marriage felt, how lonely she'd become, how much she hated pretending everything was picture perfect. She didn't badmouth her husband, she just spoke the truth she'd swallowed for years. I listened, maybe too intently. Toward the end of the conversation, there was a moment, a long, silent, fragile moment, where she reached for my hand. Her fingers brushed mine, paused, hesitated, then intertwined gently, like it was the most natural thing in the world. We shouldn't do this, she whispered. I know, I said. But neither of us pulled away. We left the cafe separately, but when I got home, she sent one last message. Tonight shouldn't have happened, but I'm not sorry. And that was the moment everything between us changed forever. I thought that after the cafe meeting, things would cool down. That we would wake up the next morning, feel the shock of what almost happened, and quietly retreat back into the safe corners of our normal lives. But I underestimated how powerful silence can be, how it fills the spaces between people and pulls them back toward each other like gravity. She didn't message me the next day. I didn't message her either. But she lingered in every thought I had, every pause, every moment of stillness. Her voice echoed, her confession replayed, her touch haunted my hand like a lingering warmth I couldn't shake. 3 days passed. Then, one evening, around 9:42 p.m., my phone lit up. "Are you home?" A simple text, but my pulse jumped. I typed back, "Yes." Another message followed immediately. "I'm outside." I stood frozen for a second, unsure what the right reaction even was. It didn't matter. My body moved before my mind caught up. I opened the door, and there she was, hood up, coat zipped, eyes filled with a storm of emotions she didn't bother hiding. The moment I saw her, I understood. She wasn't running from her life, she was running to something she'd found unexpectedly in me. "I shouldn't be here," she said before I could speak. "I know." But she didn't leave. I stepped aside, silently inviting her in. She walked past me, her scent brushing against me in a way that sent my thoughts spiraling. She didn't sit, she just stood in the middle of my living room, breathing hard, like she'd been holding her breath for 3 days. "I tried to forget that night," she said. "I tried to pretend it didn't affect me. But it did, and I can't pretend I'm not drawn to you." Hearing her say that did something to me, something I hadn't prepared for. I wasn't naive, I knew what we were stepping into. I knew the danger, the risks, the moral chaos waiting behind the door we were slowly opening wider and wider. But in that moment, none of it mattered. Because she wasn't looking at me like I was a mistake. She was looking at me like I was a lifeline. "I don't want to hurt anyone," I said quietly. "I don't either," she replied. "But I'm tired of feeling invisible. And when I'm with you, I feel alive." She said it softly, but the weight of it slammed into me with full force. I moved closer, slowly, carefully, giving her enough time to change her mind. She didn't. Her eyes met mine with a kind of certainty that told me everything I needed to know. She had already crossed the boundary in her heart long before she ever stepped foot inside my door. We didn't rush. It wasn't reckless. It wasn't impulsive passion or wild temptation. It felt like two people finally acknowledging something they'd been denying for too long. But the truth is, no matter how right it felt in the moment, part of me knew we had just stepped into a secret neither of us would ever fully escape from. When she finally left, hours later, she paused at the door, her voice trembling the slightest bit. "This never happened," she whispered. But then she looked at me, really looked at me, and added. "But you know it did." And I did. More than anything, I did. Keeping a secret is easy. Keeping a secret that breathes, that looks at you, that remembers you. That's a completely different kind of burden. Life changed after that night, though on the surface everything stayed the same. We still met as two couples. We still shared dinners, laughed at harmless jokes, and made plans no one truly intended to keep. Her husband still smiled proudly with his arm around her. My girlfriend still leaned into me, unaware of the storm rumbling beneath the table. Only she and I felt the shift. At gatherings, her eyes avoided mine, too deliberately. Her laughter was too careful. Her posture too composed. Anyone watching would think she was simply polite and reserved. But I knew better. I saw the blush that rose in her cheeks when my hand brushed hers by accident while passing a plate. I saw her chest rise and fall faster when she felt my gaze on her. I saw how she breathed differently around me, like she wasn't sure if she should inhale or run. She never messaged me during the day. She never called. But at night, always late, always when the world was quiet, my phone would light up with a message. Sometimes, "I can't sleep." Other times, "I miss talking to you." And on some nights, the most dangerous message of all. "Are you awake?" We met in discreet places. Empty parking lots. Quiet parks after midnight. Once, in the back booth of a dimly lit bar where the bartender didn't bother to look up. We didn't always cross the line, but the pull between us never weakened. If anything, the restraint made it stronger. She confessed things she never admitted to anyone, not even herself. Her fear of growing older unnoticed. The loneliness that crept into her marriage like mold. The guilt she carried for wanting more when she knew she had enough. But she also confessed something else, something harder, deeper. "Being with you, it reminds me of who I used to be." Her voice shook when she said it. I didn't know what to say. Because she wasn't using me as an escape, she was using me as a mirror, as a reminder of a younger, braver version of herself. The kind that had dreams. The kind that laughed freely. The kind that hadn't settled. And that terrified me, because it meant what we had wasn't just physical. It wasn't just a thrill. It wasn't boredom or rebellion. It was emotional, dangerously emotional. One night, after she'd spent hours talking to me in my car, she rested her head against the window and whispered, "I know this won't last. I know it can't, but right now, I don't want it to end." And for the first time, I realized something I hadn't let myself think before. I didn't want it to end either. We were living in a world of stolen time, borrowed breaths, whispered confessions, touches we weren't supposed to feel. And the deeper we sank into it, the harder it became to imagine returning to our old lives. But secrets don't stay quiet forever. Sooner or later, something would break. And deep down, we both knew it wasn't going to be clean. It didn't end with a fight. It didn't end with someone being caught. There was no confrontation, no slammed door, no dramatic scene. It ended the way most dangerous things do, slowly, quietly, almost gently. But the wound it left was anything but gentle. It happened on a Sunday evening, after a barbecue with both couples. The sun was setting, casting the backyard in orange light as her husband teased her about something trivial. She laughed, beautifully, convincingly, but for the first time, her eyes didn't drift toward me. Not once. Something had changed. Later that night, around 1:03 a.m., my phone lit up with her name. My chest tightened, not with excitement this time, but with dread. Her message was longer than usual. "I think this is the part where we stop. We crossed every line we said we wouldn't, and I'm not sorry for any of it. But I'm scared of how much I depend on you. If we don't end it now, I won't be able to walk away at all." I stared at the words, feeling them slice through me. I had known the end was coming, but knowing and accepting are two very different things. I wrote back, "Do you want to meet and talk?" Her reply was immediate, "No, if I see you again, I won't do the right thing." That was the moment it truly hit me. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't a moment of weakness. She was fighting herself, not me, not her husband, not society. Herself. I typed back slowly, every word weighted. "I won't reach out again. But I'm grateful for every moment we had." She didn't respond immediately, but after 10 minutes, one last message appeared. "Thank you, for seeing me when I felt invisible." That was her last message. She didn't block me. She didn't disappear. She simply faded from my life in the same quiet way she entered it, softly, unexpectedly, and leaving a mark too deep to erase. Months have passed. Our couples don't meet anymore, not for any suspicious reason. Just life pulling people in different directions. My relationship ended for reasons unrelated to her. Her marriage continues, as far as I know. Sometimes I wonder if she ever thinks of me. Sometimes I wonder if she regrets it. But deep down, I know she doesn't. She wasn't caught. She wasn't exposed. She wasn't punished. She lived an entire chapter of her life in the shadows, one only she and I will ever know existed. And maybe that's why I'm telling this anonymously. Not to confess, not to brag, not to seek forgiveness, but because some stories never find closure unless they're spoken out loud. This was ours, hidden, dangerous, unplanned, but undeniably real. And even though it ended, the truth remains. We weren't supposed to swap partners. But we did, and it changed us both in ways no one will ever see, except me. This is a fictional mature story for entertainment only. Not based on real individuals. Viewer discretion advised. If this story made your heart race, your mind spin, or your emotions twist, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our growing family of true confession lovers. More untold secrets, hidden desires, and real-life twists drop right here every week. Thank you for listening, and remember, some truths can only be whispered in the dark. Until next time, stay curious.